too. So please welcome Cyra.
Okay, so before we get started, I need to give you a couple of facts. First off, 2015 was my midlife reset road trip. And it has been fodder for many, many stories. Coffee and fry bread with a motorcycle gang from Spokane on the edge of the Grand Canyon. Barely escaping abduction from a family cult in northern Idaho. And a steamy night above Seattle with a professional bodybuilder named Letty, whose lips tasted like Dr. Pepper. Okay. What I'm about to tell you is the one story I've not told too many people, but I'm sorry, there's a shadow and I can't see anything. No. Okay. I got it together. I just have to tell you, Tom gave me a vodka tonic that I'm pretty sure he forgot tonic in. So I blame him for anything that happens. Okay. What I'm about to tell you is the one story I've mostly kept to myself all this time. But the naked truth is, it fits the naked truth so well, I just couldn't pass up. Now, you also need to know that the Hilton hotel chain showed me an exceptional kindness throughout this road trip. It was a month-long adventure where they guaranteed me a room at a moment's notice at any one of their hotels. Okay, you ready? Let's get naked. So I headed back to my Southern California hotel. It's vodka, I'm telling you. Earlier that evening, I checked in at the Knights Hotel and collected my room key, 4th floor, corner room, just the way I liked, but didn't go up to my room because I was running late to meet a friend for dinner. On my way out, I noticed 2 Harley-Davidsons out front. That wasn't such a rarity. Actually, Harley-Davidsons had practically become my familiars on this entire trip. Everywhere I went, there they were. These, however, were absolute works of art. Deep, rich colors with subtle metallic flecks, custom pinstriping and chrome, so polished it seemed electrified. I probably would have paused in respect just for those glorious beasts, but the men lovingly polishing the fenders deserved their own special brand of respect. Tall, well-built, in impeccable leathers and black. Now, I'm not entirely comfortable just using their complexion as a describer, and yet I hadn't met many black men on Harley-Davidsons other than Martin Lawrence on his beautiful Softail Springer in Wild Hogs. The men looked up as I passed, and we exchanged that polite nod you do, a second's diversion, and nothing more. It was nearly midnight by the time I returned to the hotel, where the next hint at an extraordinary night filled the parking lot. The 2 men from earlier had multiplied into at least 40 meticulously dressed men, each with their own gorgeous, tricked-out Harley. Even in their orange sodium lights, these were clearly vehicular masterpieces, expensive and well-tended. I circled the hotel until I found a parking space in the farthest, darkest corner from the back entrance. Poor, dusty, bug-splattered Walter the Jeep hunkered awkwardly beside those elegant beasts. I tried not to stare. I glanced around, aiming for nonchalant. There was no hint of the stereotypical black leather vest biker gang mentality from the movies. No bellowing, no fist throwing, no beer can crushing. In fact, the men milled around like diplomats at a cocktail party, admiring each other's rides, quietly discussing whatever it is that black Harley riders discuss. And oh yes, they were all black. Every single one of them. I wondered how they found each other. Is there a meetup for well-dressed black owners of customized Harley-Davidsons? Do they pay dues? Do they have fundraisers? The crowd's vibe was relaxed and friendly. I followed the routine I'd established over the past 3 weeks for venturing anywhere unfamiliar. Hotel card in one hand, cell phone in the other, purse stacked on top of my rolling suitcase. I locked Walter the Jeep and headed across the parking lot to the entrance. "Ma'am," one man greeted me. Several nodded my way, barely pausing in their conversation. I slid my key card into the reader. The man closest to the door, who smelled delicious, held it for me as I wrestled my luggage over the door jamb. "Have a nice evening," he said, called behind me as the door closed. "You too," I smiled in their general direction, more concerned with keeping my suitcase rolling the right direction and not over their feet. It had been a long day. I'd mostly forgotten the crowd by the time I was in my room. I got ready for bed and passed out. Unconsciousness lasted about an hour. I woke to noise. Human noise. Not angry or frightened noise. Noises of pleasure. After 3 weeks in hotel rooms, I'd heard these noises more than once, although Hilton is kind of classy enough that most noises were kind of muted and subtle. Not tonight. I accepted that it would be one of those long nights of overhearing other people's sexual fulfillment. I opened the white noise app on my phone and turned away from the door, grateful to be in a relatively quiet corner room. Eventually, I went to sleep for about 12 minutes. Bam! Bam! Bam, bam, bam! Come on, baby. Join the party. We didn't come here to sleep. Someone was outside my door. He wanted in. Again, the voice didn't sound threatening or angry. He sounded sexy. I rolled over hoping he'd get bored and rejoin the party, but he clearly didn't need me. He kept knocking, pounding a fist on the door, all the while in this strangely seductive yell. He encouraged, "Don't be shy, babe. You can't waste our night." I finally accepted that he wasn't leaving. Now, I've always had this hate-hate relationship with pajamas. I'm a fully active sleeper and always get tangled up and never figured out how to sleep gracefully and dignified like they did in the movies. One of my very first "I'm a real grown-up" decision back in my 20s was that I would only wear pajamas for decency's sake when I had to or for school spirit days. So I gathered the entire king-size comforter around me, a fluffy, misshapen snow beast with one cold shoulder to allow for a little movement. Checking that all essentials were basically covered and accepting that my hair was probably in exploding dandelion electrified stage. I opened the door. I know. I thought about this. I'm like, I opened the door. Who does this? I do. Facing me in the bright light of the hallway was a tall, bald, beautiful black man. He was naked. Completely naked. And very, very, very enthusiastic. See what I did there? Very. Until he saw me. His enthusiasm, wilted instantaneously. I know. I might have been devastated by the naked truth of how clearly uninterested he was in me as I stood there, naked myself, except for 20 pounds of white comforter. We stared at each other a moment before his focus slid to his side. obviously hunting for support in this situation. I followed his gaze. Two men, also completely naked and very engaged in the moment, occupied the space. One man, his hands clutching the top of the door frame, head thrown back, the door gently bouncing against that smooth backside, while the other man knelt before him, engrossed in his efforts. Beyond them, doors were propped open. Yet another man strolled out of a room, rolling a condom onto his, well, fill in your own porn core euphemism. Always think of 10 Things I Hate About You, the principal. If you don't know, watch. Meanwhile, sounds of celebration and pleasure was clear evidence that I was, in fact, the only person on the floor not enjoying the party, or male. The man at my door was still staring at me as I finished my seconds-long scan of the hall. He jerked back abruptly, panic rising. "Oh shit, I'm so sorry. Why are you here? You shouldn't be here. Oh my God." The fear in his voice, at odds with his smooth baritone, alerted the pair in the next doorway, also immediately less enthusiastic. It was a humbling experience. At seeing me, I pulled the comforter closer to me, not so much in fear, but acutely uncomfortable at how little I belonged there. Once we recovered from the initial and considerable shock, we sorted out what had happened. The hall quieted. More men came out of their rooms. So many beautiful naked men. While we talked, I struggled mightily to keep my eyes on theirs, with marginal success. The heady aroma of sweat, cologne, and sex was dizzying. My lord. Okay, hold on. We pieced together what had happened. Their group reserved the entire fourth floor weeks earlier, but I checked in without a reservation late in the afternoon, shortly after one of their party had canceled. Since I slipped in while they were outside, no one realized that I was on their floor. I guess my reaction could have gone several directions, but I couldn't feel angry or threatened. It seemed these men were taking a break from their daily lives for a weekend of freedom, without inhibition. Clearly, they feared their party being made public. Standing doorframe guy asked if I wanted to change floors. I'd have to explain my reason to the desk attendant, though. Another acknowledged that I certainly had a right to report them, or even press charges. The naked truth hit me. Anything I did as a privileged, middle-aged white woman could only cause trouble for them. It could destroy lives. Each beautiful person I faced, black biker man, truly had far more to fear from me than I did of them. Look me in the face. No person has the right to have that much power over any other human being, no matter what. Okay, you don't have to look at my face anymore. While I really, really didn't belong in their party, I couldn't imagine doing anything against them. They weren't hurting or endangering anyone, and it was clear that everything they were doing was happily consensual. We reached an agreement. I'd stay in my room, and they'd vacate the room adjacent to mine and keep their activities mostly out of the hallways. Their activities did resume, but at a slightly muted level. I stuffed a towel under my door so I wouldn't hear them and slept soundly the rest of the night. I might have dreamed of the men. Probably. Okay, definitely. The next morning, I wandered down to breakfast. I was curious about the other occupants of the fourth floor. One man huddled in a solitary armchair, curled around his coffee. He looked up as I passed. His eyes widened in recognition. I remembered him, although he seemed an awful lot taller than he did when he was on his knees. I smiled, he relaxed. I poured my coffee and added 2 creamers, grabbed a bagel, and claimed a small table on the side of the dining room, bustling with families gearing up for a long day of travel, and an older couple poring over a German newspaper. I opened my book to read during breakfast. More men from the fourth floor trickled in. Some clustered together, others chose to drink their coffee alone, but each one slowed as they passed my table. Ma'am. I smiled and pretended to go back to my book, desperately wanting to ask about a bazillion questions. But I forced myself to respect their privacy over my rampaging curiosity. To a man, they passed my table as they left the dining room with a nod and a smile. 2 teen girls, okay, Lisa, I'm feeling you. 2 teen girls at the table beside me noticed. One of them whispered loud enough to be sure I heard. "What's that all about? She's so old." Fuck you. Oh, honey, you couldn't begin to imagine. By the time I was ready to leave, most family travelers had departed. I gathered my final cup of coffee, book, and cell phone and pushed in my chair. Conversations paused as I went through the dining room, as diners watched me leave. I wish I could say something sassy. I'd love to say I gracefully exited the room, but no. I tripped over the leg of a chair, and I ran to find my balance and hustled out blushing even more than I did when I was faced with all of those glorious bodies. Enthusiastic bodies, naked bodies. Sorry, I'm a little focused on that. Back in my corner room on the fourth floor, I gathered and repacked my belongings in a now practiced routine. I wrote my morning Instagram post and left, leaving the lobby in time to see the last of those gorgeous Harleys turn left out of the hotel drive. Walter the Jeep sat, dusty and alone, in the far reaches of the parking lot. Tucked under his windshield wiper was a message on hotel paper. "Thank you, safe travels." At the bottom was scrawled a doodle of a motorcycle. Walter and I pulled onto the road to the right. Hitting the open road was punctuated by a stop for gas, an extra potty break, and Los Angeles traffic. Nonetheless, I sat a little taller than usual because I was a friend to men. Okay, I was a friend to a lot of men. Thank you.